So what do you get when you take good character writing, good directing, nice flow of pacing, and a really good story? Well, you get the Thunderbolts, a really good MCU film, the best movie we've gotten from the MCU since Guardians 3. And I stand by what I'm saying here. I think the MCU needed a movie like the Thunderbolts. I think the Thunderbolts is, well, fresh feeling because they decided they were going to do on location filming for everything, practical effects for everything, practical action. Even gave Sebastian Stan like a real metal arm for the metal arm stuff, and I think that's what ultimately helped the film visually. Now, as far as storytelling goes, I think it's a fantastic story. I think getting into the dark side of a bunch of people's minds is so new to the MCU. Like we've gotten it before, but it was never done to this creative artistic level. And to all the grifters out there, I really could care less how y'all feel. I think this movie is great. I think it is my third favorite MCU film between Phase 4 and 5 since Endgame. So that would be No Way Home and Guardians 3. So yes, The Thunderbolts is quite possibly my third favorite. I just think it did such a great job. I think the action, I'm a big fan of low down grit action. I do love comic book action. I do love some of the comic book action when we get in like the Avengers films, but I also love low down action like we got in Winter Soldier. So this movie is right up my alley. No one's overly powerful except for one, and he's not really on the team for the film. We finally get some invite to knowing something about Valentina. Like the fact that my question for years is what does Valentina do and what are they going to do with her? We finally get some input on that, and it's interesting. It's good. Very she's a manipulative person, and I want to dive into Valentina. I loved her little flashback sequence we got when she touched the Sentry. I love the fact that Julia Dreyfus is a good actor. She clearly enjoys having fun being a part of the MCU, and I enjoy her believably charismatic way of getting around on people. And they do that really well here in the Thunderbolts. And I'm hoping to see more of that going forward, but they seem to like to have Valentina show up whenever they think it's just fine for her to show up, not even if it's important or not. Like I still stand by she didn't really need to be in Wakanda forever, but that's just me. But the standouts are definitely Florence Pugh and Lewis Pullman, who I think Lewis Pullman might just be better than his dad at this point, but that's just my opinion. But Florence Pugh, phenomenal. Every appearance Florence Pugh does, she's great. She was great in Black Widow. She was great in Hawkeye. She's great here. And I'm so happy she got to be like the star because she actually can lead her own film. It's great. I enjoyed just getting some more of Yelena as far as we got some insight of her in the Red Room for a little bit. We see her first Red Room operation that pretty much broke her. And we see her going through guilt, neglect, despair. She's going through so many feelings, especially with the fact that she lost Nat. And now she feels alone. She's got nothing out there. And we already got the impression she felt alone in Black Widow, and it's really leveled in here. And I think it gave so much ground to Yelena because whenever a new character shows up in the MCU, they don't know how to make them feel well. They don't know how to make them feel real. And Yelena feels real. And I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like her because they like Nat. And I'm just like, I think that's a little petty. I think Yelena is a great character. I think she's great to work with. Florence Pugh is very talented. She's a very talented actress and she's cool. And Yelena's cool. She has some great moments in the film. Now, going into the real standout though, is Lewis Pullman. Lewis Pullman as Bob is one of the greatest performances we might have gotten since Phase 4. And that's hard because Elizabeth Olsen in WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. You got Chris Pratt in Guardians 3. You got Bradley Cooper in Guardians 3. Chuck Woody Awuji in Guardians 3. Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett and Wakanda Forever. We've had some great performances, but I think Lewis Pullman as Bob's performance was something to talk about. It's very memorable. He was very good at being, like uncomfortable and nervous and very distant mentally, but also very good at being the sentry. It was just so weird. And he's also really good at being the void. Spoiler alert. So I guess it's a spoiler video. He just had such a good way of being three different versions of himself in the same film. And it's very noticeably different, each different part he's playing. Um, the way they deal with the Sentry is better than they ever dealt with the Sentry in the comics. It seems like his really great introduction back in like 2001 is very well done, and they haven't known what to do with the Sentry ever since. But this Sentry is so much more interesting and well done, and he just nails it. He nails every part of it. The suit is perfect. His powers are crazy. The only thing that I'm concerned about is we know he's going to be in Doomsday, and I feel like he's going to get the Vision treatment where he's so powerful, but they nerf him, and then we're going to be like, well, what was the point? What was the point? But yeah, I definitely say Lewis Pullman is a very great scene stealer, very great performance, and very great character setup. Very great. You know, we're going to see him again later. That's a phenomenal. I definitely think Wyatt Russell had more to do. They wrote him somehow better than they did in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but he was still more of an asshole somehow. And we get some insight into his life after the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I kind of had a feeling that's what they were going to do because I was like, after what he does in that show, there's no way his wife was just okay with him after that. Like, there's just no way. It's just is what it is. He does such a great job of portraying this egotistical moron, but also there's some hurt in there that he's clearly covering up until we find out. I'm gonna say this, and I know this is not good. I don't think Sebastian Stan needed to be here. I think the only reason why Bucky's in the film is because they needed someone familiar, and that's really it. Like Bucky just felt like he like if you took Bucky out the film, I don't think the film changes at all. He has a cool motorcycle scene with a gun. The metal arm is proven to be just Jesus at this point. That metal arm is getting insane every time he appears. And he's still great. Like Sebastian Stan still, performs how he performs, but I just don't think he needed to really be here. Or they could have made him more important, but he didn't really need to be. That's really it, honestly. Red Guardian annoys me. Red Guardian annoys me. I think it's just too much leaning into it. And he does, I will say, David Harbour does get a few scenes to actually perform and act, which is great. He's a great actor. I think David Harbour's awesome, but he is definitely 10 times more comedic relief than anything. And I can't get down with him. I like Red Guardian, but I just can't get down with him. I think he's just kind of annoying and really was only there because Yelena's here. And it did kind of feel like a Black Widow sequel in a way, but not really, kind of like a pseudo Black Widow sequel. Ghost, again, same with Ghost. I think if you take Ghost out the movie really doesn't change all that much at all. And I was hoping to get some more insight on Ghost because we get a small little backstory on her in Ant-Man and the Wasp way back in 2018, and we haven't seen her or heard about her since. So the other thing was, I know when the movie was announced, she was a part of the crew. And then when the movie was going into production, they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, Ghost is no longer in it. And then when they drop the trailer, it's like, oh, yeah, Ghost is back. And it's like, okay, cool, sure, whatever. But there's nothing to her. Hannah John Common's still cool. She's still cool. Her powers are nice to look at. She's the only one with powers that's outside of punch and shoot, as Yelena says. It's just everything that makes the movie work is so great. By the way, Taskmaster, that mind blowing performance that Taskmaster has, it's there. It's there, man. And it's just a great performance. I think you guys will enjoy her a lot. She gets a lot of redemption. And going into the film as a whole, you know, dealing with Yelena's depression, it's dealing with Bucky being a shitty congressman, apparently. John Walker's clearly going through the stages of, separation and not having a community around him anymore. Sentry dealing with Sentry stuff. It has this idea that if we work on these people enough, they'll be good characters. And actually, I agreed with this film with that. Giving these characters something to do, work with, made them work, made them feel more relevant. And I feel like people have been so abusive to the MCU post Endgame, but that's what happens when you get 10 years of the same characters. Now that we're getting all these new characters, it just seems like we're not getting fed enough. But I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think that what we're going to get now is a renaissance of good character writing, good character moments, more delved in depth stories. And I'm here for that. I'm here for that. If Thunderbolts is the starting point for these characters getting more to do and becoming more important, and also setting the stage for future character writing moments, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I highly think everyone should go see the Thunderbolts. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm gonna reminisce on it a little bit more. The fact that they shot everything as realistically as they could. So the big jump scene Yelena does at the opening of the movie. Florence Pugh really did that. They went to an area somewhere in Malaysia, I think the tallest building in Malaysia. She jumped off of that. She Tom Cruised it, man. um, Bucky, the little every shot that you see, the motorcycle scene, flipping the trucks and all that's real. The set pieces are real. Not really that much CGI in the film, but we know there's CGI there. Everything that we see in front of our face. It's all there, and that made the movie look so fresh. It looked so real. It was nice to look at. Practical stunts, practical action, even a practical metal arm on Sebastian Stan, which I don't think we've seen that since Winter Soldier. So that was just a nice little like touch on detail. All the suits were real. The Sentry suit's perfect. Everyone else is wearing some version of a suit we've already seen, except for Ghost, and we actually get to see John Walker wear the U.S. agent suit, which is cool. And then I can't talk about this without talking about the asterisk. The asterisk, finding out what the asterisk actually means is really cool. I'm not going to reveal that. I think I'll actually save that. But the asterisk, see, like what it means is pretty damn awesome. I think the ending of the Thunderbolts is pretty cool. It's something we haven't seen, and it is touched on in one of the end credit scenes. And the Wheaties box marketing actually has something to do with the film as well. I think everything that we've seen about the Thunderbolts, it all actually has something to do with the film, which is really, really cool. And do I want to go into the end credit scene? I don't think I'm going to go into the end credit scene. I think you guys should see that for yourselves, even if Marvel seems to not be too great with end credit scenes. Also, I found out recently that the second end credit scene is A, the longest end credit scene in the MCU, and B, they literally filmed it like a month ago. It was filmed on the Doomsday set, apparently. So take that with how you guys want to take it. But honestly, I think I'm going to be done here. It's really all I got to say on the matter. I think the Thunderbolts is great. I think it's a great situation. I think it's a great story, great visual storytelling, great character development, and you guys should definitely see the Thunderbolts in theaters if you have a chance to. If not, I understand, but if you do, please see it in theaters. I think this movie actually deserves money spent, and I think it's a good time. So, with that being said, I'm signing off, and I'll see you guys on the next one.